Hey, welcome everybody to another Cantina Hour by Hobbs Geek News. Tonight we're going to be talking the prequel trilogy with DT from Space Castle. We're going to be talking the good, the bad, and the ugly. Of course, before we get started, we always like to talk what we are drinking, especially on a Cantina Hour. So I am drinking a beer from Sideward. It is not Yacht Money today, but it is Space Wizard because that's all that Jedi really are, is they are wizards in space. If you hear that typing sound, that is Matt sharing.
Oh, shit, sorry.
I was thinking, is there like a hurricane in Virginia? Like, what's going on?
That is the Force.
Continue. I'm muting. Just continue.
Matt's using the Force to share this onto our Facebook page as well. If you're listening on Twitter and YouTube, that's what that sound was. So Space Wizard, this is at Sideward Brewing in Orlando, Florida. Space Wizard is a fantastic IPA, but then they just did a triple dry hop New England version of it. Well, it's always a New England IPA. My husband loved it so much, he brought home 24 cans, and I'm really glad he did because it is fantastic. So if you are drinking a beer, obviously let us know what you are drinking in the chat. And let us know why you love Jar Jar Binks so much and what your favorite thing is about him.
So it's been great fun, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'll catch you guys.
Before we get to that handsome devil down there and he leaves us, on the laptop, as we were about to go live again, my main computer decided to shit the bed. So Lauren ran the intro for us while I was furiously typing away and didn't. I'm like a boomer for some reason. I was furiously typing away. Like, they can't hear me. Idiot.
I mean, you were like a secretary in the 50s, man. You're like,
listen, equal rights, okay? I would have been great as a housewife. I could.
Don Draper would definitely
all of that stuff.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Don Draper would have loved you.
I would have done it all, man. Our boy Maynard Brewer is in the chat. We got to get him on to talk. We were having a conversation the other day talking about like modern day movies and nostalgia. We were talking about beer, so we got to get him on. Come on, you know what the people are really here for.
Me.
We're here for it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Shout out to Stacy. Shout out to Jose. My boy Jose. I am drinking a Maine Beer Company beer tonight.
Ooh, I
love it. It is Wolf's Neck India Pale Ale. Do what's right, it says, and it is a 6.5% ABV IPA. Now, Wolf's Neck Center for Agriculture and the Environment is a farm-based education, research, and visitor center set amidst more than 600 acres of conserved open space on the coast of Maine. Their work is focused on the implementation of regenerative agriculture principles to create healthier ecosystems, increase farm resiliency, and build soil health to mitigate the effects of and adapt to climate change. Maine Beer Company is a big staple of back home. I absolutely love this brewery. Shout out to Patrick. Yes, now this is podcasting, my friends. We are talking to prequels today. Shout out to our boy Ken. Wolf's Neck is a great spot. And now DT, I'm going to throw this bad boy to you. Give this man a solo. Remind the fine people at home who you are and what's up.
I'm DT from Space Castle. You can catch me at youtube.com/@SpaceCastleShow. Thank you to YouTube for making those URLs very easy to follow. Much more simply, you can find me at spacecastle.net. So I do nerdy videos on YouTube, like video essays and all types of stuff with zany storylines and whatnot. Every other week.
Amazing editing.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I'm drinking too, by the way. I've got the Fairy Nectar Hazy IPA from Cross Strain, which is based in La Vista, Nebraska.
Oh.
So I can't find this beer where I'm at, but a buddy of mine is from Nebraska, and he goes out there to play golf and see friends and family.
There's nothing in Nebraska.
Yeah,
I've never actually had a beer from Nebraska.
Me neither, but this beer is phenomenal. So every time he goes out there, I'm like, dude, you're going to bring me that Chaos Strain? He's like, oh, I got you, man. So I'm enjoying one of those tonight. And
that's a true friend right there.
Dude, the kid's the best. I love the kid. He's amazing. But this beer is also phenomenal. So, yeah.
So speaking of kids bringing, how old is the kid?
Yeah. How old?
Oh, he's like 38. I call everybody a kid. So yeah.
So do we, man. Also, Lauren, see, I told you I was watching Spider-Man at work today. I watched all three of them.
I believed you.
We actually talked about this on our episode that we just recorded about the Sith. Nothing actually does exist in Nebraska. I've been to Omaha. Actually, I lied. Omaha, Nebraska, great town. That in Lincoln. So Omaha actually has a cereal bar where you go inside of it, and it's all the walls around are retro video games. You've got Nintendo 64, you've got all the Super Nintendos, everything we grew up with. And then from there, they have all the cereals against the wall, and you can put marshmallows in them, honey. Like, there is so many. It's basically like a frozen yogurt bar from when that was big, except for cereal. And so you can choose your almond milk, your oat milk, your regular milk, whatever kind of milk, goat milk, I don't know, like
we had
whole thing. It is freaking sick. Go check out this cereal bar in Omaha, Nebraska. And their beer is actually pretty good there too. I got a friend that lives in Omaha, so I'm with DT. Like there are more things contrary to popular belief.
Well, it sounds like that place is doing it right with the marketing and the video games, because we had one when I lived in Fort Lauderdale for a little bit. We had one in Sunrise, and it did not last long. And we went, and one of the kids threw up because
I throwed up.
It's cereal, and it's just so sweet, and it's all. I mean, it's like worse than ice cream, but it didn't last long. But I mean, you gotta have the right atmosphere, and you gotta have more than just cereal. I mean, I love cereal. Don't get me wrong.
I love cereal.
I used to. I'm not a cereal fan these days. Unless I'll eat it dry, I guess. But
who
dude,
hurt
of course,
you, Matt?
Well, actually, how long do you have to delve into my childhood trauma?
I think we got an hour-long show here. Let's
He's the youngest one on the podcast.
I want to go to my childhood
oldest
trauma.
one on the podcast. That is an old man in his soul.
I really am. Dudes, it is great to see DT again. DT is one of my favorite people. I know we've never actually met in person yet, but the internet is the great thing, right? We've made a lot of friends. He puts so much love and care into his YouTube, and he also has some things to say about Star Wars. More often than not, DT comes flying with the hot takes. Prequel trilogy. So let's talk the prequel trilogy, guys. I saw all these movies in theaters. Yes, I'm the youngest. As a child,
I was them as a teenager / adult.
DT was a grown man, and Lauren was already in the nursing home. So,
wow, shots fired.
Yeah. So, DT, did you see all these movies, the prequel trilogy? Because we just did the 20th anniversary of Phantom Menace, and 25th. Then we're 25th. Sorry, 25th. It's the 23rd anniversary of Attack of the Clones and the 19th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. So why don't you tell us all kind of about your experience getting to watch the prequels?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was 14 when the Phantom Menace first came out. And I am born and raised a Star Wars fan. My dad, saw the first Star Wars when he was a young adult in theaters. He passed that love on to me. As a young kid, that's the first thing we ever bonded on was Star Wars. My first memories of watching anything on TV, movies or TV shows otherwise, is like my grandparents sitting me down in front of the TV watching Empire Strikes Back, which I probably was just way too young for. But I had weird, subliminal memories growing up of seeing the back of Darth Vader's head and Han Solo being frozen in carbonite. And having those is just my first exposure to pop culture. And Star Wars since then has largely formulated my love of movies and pop culture. So I'm a born and bred Star Wars fan. So I saw the prequels. I saw every single one of them at a midnight screening in the theater.
Yeah, back when you had to fight for seats.
Yeah, where you had to wait in line for an hour and a half and not actually have a seat reserved on the website before you actually showed up.
Right?
So
you had to wait in lines. I feel that wasn't that long ago. Avengers, I had to wait in the line.
Yeah.
We have a question. So my boy Jose actually has a question for us real quick. If you have questions in the chat, drop them in the chat. I'll answer them as we go. We'll answer this one. What's our favorite Jedi and villain? We will answer this one. Once DT's done going through his introduction to Star Wars, we will actually answer this one. That's a really good one, Jose. I'm proud of you. I didn't know this man had it in him. He's over here. He's sending me pictures right now of him drinking piss water for beer. And I didn't know he had it in him. I'm proud of you. You know what, Jose? I'm proud of you. I'm going to cross you up in the basketball court tomorrow, but I'm proud of you.
Oh, shit.
But no, if you guys let us know in the chat, what are your favorite memories about the prequels? Didn't mean to cut you off, DT, man.
No, not at all, man. That's a great question. I'm actually more excited to answer that question than I am to talk more about my history with the prequels.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw all of them in a screening. I've seen them all multiple times over the years. I was, the kids at pool parties and whatnot, hanging out with my buddies or LAN parties were oh my God, the trailer for Attack of the Clones dropped. LAN parties, yeah.
Lauren doesn't know what those are.
I've never heard LAN.
So Lauren's too old to know, and Matt's too young to know, and I'm just stuck.
I know what a LAN party is, dude. I used to play Halo on LAN parties. What do you mean?
What the hell is a LAN party? Is it just not a pool party?
Local area network where everybody brought their PCs and their big old CRT monitors and lugged them in their cars and set them all up on local.
I don't think it's that I'm too old to know.
The early COD and Halo lobbies were LAN parties, and so you can play online with your friends. And
that is hilarious.
When I tell you that was the best video game experience anybody will ever have in their life.
We just used to go to the beach and get drunk.
All right.
Well, la-di-da.
We get it, Lauren. You had friends, all right? You had real friends, and Lauren was a real popular type. The rest of us were out here forging our hardened, battle armor in the lobbies of LAN parties.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at the things I've learned having your podcast the last 4 years. I really have learned so much.
She's like, a what? She's going to talk to her daughter later, like, have fun at your LAN party. And they're gonna
I really thought it was anything that wasn't a pool party. I was like, oh, that's funny.
Oh, you thought it was like a LAND party?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
LAN.
A land party.
Because you said pool party or a land party. So I was like, well, that's a funny thing to call a party that's not a pool party.
Sometimes they were the same thing where we'd set up our computers out on like a nice day on somebody's like pool patio. And then we get bored playing games. We jump in the pool and then get right back up and keep playing. We did that a few times. That was actually the first time I ever saw the trailer for Attack of the Clones. I was out on a buddy's backyard in a LAN party playing games, and somebody was like, "Oh my god, the fucking link just dropped." Excuse me, can I cuss on this? I can cuss on this.
Sir, you know who we are.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't want to be a bad host.
You can drink beer, but you can't. You better not say the F word.
I'm gonna say the F word.
Fuck them kids. Anakin Skywalker.
But yeah, I mean, all through high school, all through high school, I saw the movies, I saw the trailers, all my buddies and I talked about them. And yeah, once the initial novelty of the prequels wore off, and as I got older, I know you're already shaking your head. The luster has fallen away.
We're just here.
Yeah.
So
we
these
need to answer that
droids aren't
question.
very happy with you, but yeah, let's answer my boy Lozano.
Battle droids, I can take them apart with a fucking screwdriver.
Our boy Lozano.
Like
if you're on Facebook or YouTube, for some reason Twitter comments don't transfer over. So if you're on Facebook or YouTube, man, drop your favorite moments, drop your questions about the prequels in the chat.
Yeah,
I shared the wrong thing because I'm an idiot. Lozano wanted to know who is our favorite Jedi and or villain, of Star Wars. So DT being our guest, why don't you take the lead on this?
Favorite Jedi, just by default, it's probably Luke Skywalker. Novelty pick is probably Kit Fisto. I just always like Kit Fisto. Favorite villain is original trilogy Vader by far, 100%.
Yeah, the original trilogy specifically.
Yeah,
we'll get into that.
Trilogy. He's a little too angsty.
Yeah,
interesting. Lauren, what about you? I know we kind of covered this on our top 5, worst 5, but why don't you kind of let us know?
Well, I mean, my favorite Jedi, I would say, is Ahsoka. But if you're going to say, she's no Jedi, I would have to go Obi-Wan Kenobi. Especially, I like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Honestly, my favorite one was in the series because I felt like he wasn't cheesy old man. He was frustrated, like getting there old man, but still like hot as well. So I'm going to say that he's my favorite true Jedi. My favorite villain, I got to go with Thrawn. I love Thrawn so much.
Thrawn
I don't feel like he is a villain, though. In my heart of hearts, he's not a villain.
I mean, most villains don't view themselves as villains. Like Thanos thought he was doing everything right.
Homelander, too.
Magneto is often seen as a villain, and he's very right, depending where you look, but he has very valid points.
DT from Space Castle. Yeah.
DT has ripping in here. He's got valid points.
Dooku, too. I mean, we'll get to that when we get to, episode 2, but Dooku had great points.
He did. My favorite Jedi is Obi-Wan, man. Honestly, because we kind of talked about this before, but Obi-Wan exemplifies what the Jedi are supposed to be. He has his faults. Don't get me wrong. He kind of falls into the hubris,
blind following. Yeah. We need more Qui-Gons.
That's fair. But I think at the same time, he was more open-minded about everything. He knew. Come on, there's no way he didn't know Anakin and Padme were behind. The
well, he clearly knows in the Clone Wars. I feel like Rex knows. Everybody knows in the cartoon.
He was in love with Satine. I mean, so he knows. He understands, and he gave his life for Luke and Leia. He gave his life for the Skywalkers. Period. He exemplifies he took on a single dad who worked too hard for the Jedi Order. Once Qui-Gon died, he kind of took on that role. He did the hard stuff, man, and he went out there. And to me, Obi-Wan's my favorite. And then, of course, man, Darth Vader is my favorite villain. Just because how tragic his story is, right? He gets twisted.
Tragic.
I mean, he's groomed. Like, let's not get to because by the time
He's groomed. Yeah.
because by the time we get to the
Yeah.
okay, all right, we'll
He
get to it.
still made
go dive into it.
Yeah, that's my biggest issue with the prequels in general is Anakin and Vader and the dichotomy and how that was all handled and developed. But
Right. When
we'll get
Clone
to that.
Wars, obviously fixed that for me a bit. But the Jedi really need to invest in a therapist because he clearly
They had no
issues
therapy.
that
They had
need to be dealt
librarians,
with.
but no therapy.
Well, and it's all trauma. They all have PTSD.
All these droids, and there's not a single one that's a therapeutic droid.
Right. I mean, come on. They've all gone into battle. Like, you're not coming out of that fine.
No. I mean, you're not. Now, good question here. Micah asks, what ship or vehicle in Star Wars do you want to pilot, Lauren?
The one Bo has.
Oh,
I don't know what that's called, but how it like flips and does the stuff. That's cool.
That was pretty cool.
I have that one. Come on.
Oh.
DT, go ahead. Or Lauren. Yeah, whichever. We'll be right back.
So I don't think my favorite has ever actually been featured in any of the movies. I think it's been featured in passing in some of the extended universe shows. It's the Z95 Headhunter. I've always loved that ship. The precursor to the X-Wing. It was my favorite in the X-Wing video game. I always just like the look and feel of it. It's got like this classic sort of Mustang feel to it, and I've always just loved it.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Lego Hour, folks. Yes.
Yeah.
I have this one. Yeah. It goes up. It does its thing. Boop, boop. Bo-Katan's actually in there. There you go, Lauren.
Oh,
nice.
I love her.
I know what you're talking about.
She's just got all the cool toys too.
Yeah.
And it even like
reasonable. She
you
doesn't
could
have
even
an
like
ego.
fly like
She's
this
hot.
if you wanted
She's
to.
got cool
like,
Oh, she's got an ego.
Yeah.
She's got an ego.
She's a badass woman.
She's so true.
She's chilling in her chair when people show up, just waiting for people to show up.
Frustrated in that moment. She was not confident.
So DT, what was yours real quick? I know I walked away while you started to answer.
Z95 Headhunter.
Okay. All right.
Old fashioned Starfighter.
Yeah.
I love it.
Honestly,
Google it if you're watching. It's dope.
I actually like Maynard's question because I actually had an issue with this one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
No, it's fine, Lauren. Go ahead. What was this? No, Pod Racer. Dude, straight up Pod Racer. I want to fucking race one of those bad boys so bad. Those things rip. We got Stacy's question first. I promise we'll get to the prequels, but Stacy asks,
over and saw Maynard.
Who or what is our favorite fictional Star Wars animal? I recently got a cat, so I'm gonna go with the Lilith cat because they're so damn cute. That's mine. Or are Wookiees animals?
No, they're people.
You're right. That's very dude. Oh God, I'm going to EO.
Come on, you saw Chewie's grandpa.
God.
Wookiees are people too.
DT, what is your favorite animal?
Oh damn, that's actually a really tough one.
There's so many, that I don't even know their names.
Oh
man, I might have to just go classic and go Rancor. Like,
okay,
from Return of the Jedi, super cool. Just mean as fuck, but clearly somebody loved it. The poor Rancor keeper cried his eyes out when the thing got killed, but the Rancor was just cool. One of the coolest moments in Return of the Jedi too. So.
I actually liked that they did that where they made the Rancor guy sad, like because that makes sense that he would be sad.
Yeah,
true. Lauren, do you got a favorite animal?
This is hard. I'm actually looking. I mean, there's ones that I like I think the
Maynard Brewer has a question that Lauren's dying to get to.
I think mine's Lothcat as well, especially because like at Galaxy's Edge they have a Lothcat in a cage. And like Logan's asked me, like, is he real?
Cage?
He's not real. Well, he's sleeping all day. And Logan's like, he must be nocturnal if he's real. And I love that Logan like thinks he might be real, but he doesn't really believe me at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I put on May the 4th, I put on the screensaver on Disney Plus. It's just the Lothcat sleeping, and my husband's like, "What the hell is this?"
That's awesome. Runner-up choice for me would be the Tauntaun. I love Tauntauns.
Oh, I do love Tauntauns. They make excellent meat suits.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And you know
bags.
what temperature
they're great for camping in the northern Alaskan.
I love them. They're great.
And they're always lukewarm.
Well, guys, it's been fun. Thanks for having me on.
So wait, Lauren hits us with a dad joke, but God forbid I make a dad joke earlier, and she was like,
It just took me a minute to register, and I didn't make that joke up. I think I've even said that joke on here before. I got no original ones.
So a favorite action figure from the prequels?
Ooh.
Jar Jar Binks. I actually don't know. I had a bunch of them. That's a really good question.
Did you guys have the Jar Jar sucker where you push the button and his mouth opens up?
Yeah, dude, who didn't have
kiss him
that?
to eat the sucker?
I was deep, dude. I was tonguing Jar Jar. I was in that.
You were about to say something else.
Misa gonna go down on you.
Okay, he went there. He still did it. Oh no.
Oh man, my
Um,
favorite.
Lauren never
Prequel
had
action
prequels toys.
figure.
Let's be honest. Actually, I did have
No.
the original. I had the original Lego sets from the prequel trilogy. I
Yeah.
actually had the Infiltrator, which was Darth Maul's ship, and then I also had Anakin's pod racer. And I'm gonna actually say those on account of they are prequels. They are the original Legos that first came out with the movies.
Yeah.
And my fucking parents got rid of them, and I lost them. And I have always wanted to find the original sets since, because that is my childhood.
You
My
didn't go
mom got rid
Menendez
of
brothers
my-
on them, did you?
Did I do what?
You didn't go Menendez
Menendez
brothers.
brothers.
No, I'm
Okay.
not
This
yet.
is a safe
No,
space.
actually, this is why I'm adopted. Actually, it leads into why I am adopted because,
So you needed new parents. We get it.
I'm telling you, man.
My mom got rid of my New Kids on the Block tape.
I'm not a Star Wars character if I don't find my own parents, right? I guess that's
Absolutely.
how it works.
Yeah.
DT, did you give us your answer yet?
No, so I have a couple. I did the mail away figure for Mace Windu before the Phantom Menace came
Ooh.
out. So I had it for a number of years where it was like a little green box from Kenner with the purple lightsaber, which is a huge deal. That's one of my favorites. I also really love the Darth Maul that came with his speeder bike, the little
Yeah,
Sith
dude, I
speeder.
had that one too. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
so
like
I
a
went out.
U-shaped. It was awesome.
Yeah, I went out and I did the midnight release at Toys R Us for all the figures. My mom took me and she like bought me all the figures. It was wonderful. But the Darth Maul was just a little bit lame because his horns were all kind of like rounded, like little nubs.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
But
so the kids didn't hurt themselves.
Exactly. But the Darth Maul with the Sith speeder bike had a little bit slightly more pointy horns, just felt a little bit better. It was like soft, good cloak, and it just like it was just a better figure. So I
This
love
was a
that
little bit
figure.
hornier.
Oh, that's why the Jedi were so mad. Man, we got a lot of really good questions right now. Like this is going to turn into a great Q&A episode when we don't actually ever have to get to DT's takes into the prequel
It's
trilogy.
perfectly fine because if we do, the questions are going to turn to DT, who hurt you? DT, what's wrong with you? DT.
So
Nobody
Lozano,
asked me who my favorite, because that was the question I was talking about.
Lozano actually asks, who do we guys think the chosen one is? So I'm very interested to hear your answer on this. Ken, we know Jar Jar must have hurt you one day. Like, I'm convinced like Ken's sleep paralysis demon is actually Jar Jar Binks at the end of his bed being like, Misa gonna steal all your comic books, tribal chief. I don't know why I was talking like I was a leprechaun with Jar Jar Binks, but yeah, who do we think the chosen one is? Lauren, I'm gonna go with you. What do you think? Yeah, orange lightsaber. It is the best one. He's with me, Jerry.
I mean,
good man.
I mean, it makes sense that it's Anakin because he did bring balance to the Force.
I honestly agree with this. I think it's Anakin / Darth Vader because if we're talking about bringing balance to the Force, getting rid
had no dad.
Well, I mean, he got rid of Emperor Palpatine and he turned back to the light side at the end. He was redeemed, and in doing so, he did bring balance back to the Force.
But I feel like he did it twice.
But-
That's the whole thing. Didn't George Lucas even say that? Where you go light side, you go dark side. It goes back and forth. He brought it dark, and then he brought it back light.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I feel like it is because to me, Palpatine never returned. Palpatine's dead, so he brought back balance to the Force. Like, don't
clone. It's not him.
I know what they did in the Legends, and I hated it then, and I hated it in Rise of Skywalker. But he brought balance to the Force. You can't undo everything up to that moment because the first 6 movies are, in fact, an Anakin Skywalker story. You have. He is this slave child on Tatooine. He goes, he falls, he kills, all that good, maybe not good. And then he becomes like, space Stalin, and he just kills more people. And then eventually he comes back after genociding all the Jedi all the worlds. And
did he though? Because apparently there's like 10,000 more still alive after him and Palpatine were done that just keep.
You're not going to kill them all in one night, dude. There was
more.
thousands of Jedi. People are still banging. They're making Force.
I think the real downfall of the Jedi was they didn't let them have love interest, so they stopped making babies. Like, what was the first thing Qui-Gon asked when he saw the midi-chlorian count on Anakin? Who's his father? So clearly they know this is genetic, and then they're going to tell you not to produce. You're just like cutting your army.
They were going planet to planet looking for kids and testing them if they had Force abilities,
stealing them away from their parents and creating early life trauma.
Yes, but they had to steal them before they could remember who they were, or you have Anakin going back to Tatooine.
So, man, to me, dude, straight up, it is Vader / Anakin. DT, what you got?
What was the
I don't.
question? Oh, the chosen one.
Yeah, who's the chosen one? I don't subscribe to the idea of a chosen one. I think it's a massive flaw in George Lucas's writing. But
I thought you were going to say in our society as a whole.
Well,
I mean,
honestly, it is a
honestly,
flaw, but like if you think about it, the Force is kind of a religion. So like most religions believe in a chosen one,
Definitely.
whether
it
that's true or not.
shouldn't have been made a religion. But we'll get to that maybe possibly as well. If I had to choose one, just black and white on paper, I mean, it's obviously Anakin. It's not Luke because Luke didn't really do anything to be the chosen one.
It's not Rey because
I know, yeah, I know. There's a lot of debate because of that scene in Rebels where Darth Maul tracks down Obi-Wan on Tatooine, and
yeah,
Darth Maul's like, who are you protecting? Is he the chosen one? And Obi-Wan's like, he is. I don't know what that's about. I think that's a bunch of Dave Filoni.
bunch of Filoni baloney, if you ask
Filoni-
me, brother.
Also,
I was going to say the same thing.
it could have been
Filoni
Obi-Wan though,
baloney.
justifying what he was doing, like why he sacrificed his whole life at that point for this person. So he must have had to like have some sort of faith in him.
I don't think it's about Anakin or Luke being the chosen one. I think it was just because Luke was their last hope to like overthrow the Emperor and set things right.
Wait, Luke was our last hope or Obi-Wan? Now
Luke
I'm confused.
Obi-Wan's not the last hope. He was looking out for Luke because he was waiting
Obi-Wan's
to
our
groom
only
Luke
hope.
to take over and like kill Palpatine and Vader, and which is also really effed up. But
I love the Jedi being the Dallas Cowboys of space, live off reputation and can't win unless it's a fluke. It's hard to argue there.
ODPH podcast,
dude, Ken,
knowledge
I
and
gotta say,
growth.
man, like, all right, I can get behind that one. So now moving on to another one is we can remove one item from Star Wars, not entire trilogies or movies. We're talking about items. What is one item? That's a tough one.
Blue milk. So then we don't have to watch Mark Hamill.
I'm sorry. Did the Mark Hamill sucking on blue milk titties not get you excited?
I stand by it.
I hate that word, but I don't know. That's a really hard question to answer. I'm thinking of like one item.
Can it be the Jedi Temple?
That's an item, I guess. I was going to say holocrons because I feel like holocrons don't really add anything.
No, they're kind of superfluous EU stuff, but
like are holocrons like the downloadable or like EA, you got to pay extra to get more content of like force wielders,
microtransactions for force
wielders. Yeah, I couldn't think of the name. So like, is that what holocrons are for these users? It was interesting. I guess that would be mine, man. I don't really have anything other than that. I would absolutely. Oh man, midichlorians. What you guys just thought of? All right, DT. Let's start diving into it now. The question, midichlorians. We'll start there because I'm interested. I don't like it either. I personally think midichlorians is a stupid idea.
It's a stupid idea. It dilutes the idea that, and this is my problem with the whole chosen one thing too, is the idea that anybody could potentially be a Jedi is special. And that's what makes Luke Skywalker really cool. That's what makes Anakin really cool too, is the fact that these were just dudes who had special abilities, who wandered the universe and took care of shit and helped people and whatnot. And the midichlorians and the whole chosen one thing takes it up to like a caste system where like they're above everybody else and they're special and they live in a castle that overlooks all the other people in Coruscant, and like they're involved in politics, and
it starts to feel a little racist if you think about it. Like
it's elitist is what it is.
If you think about George Lucas was basing the Empire off of like Nazis and stuff. And then
I was gonna say Dune, which is why they had a prophecy, the chosen one.
The way they dress everything, but then he adds in the whole thought process of midichlorians, where like our blood is better than yours. Like
let's give all the Jedi's blonde hair and blue eyes, right? Like, come on.
That's what I'm saying. Like George, you're a little Lauren.
Now the Jedi become like a master class. Everything becomes really.
So you're telling me the Jedi is the master race, like?
So he doesn't. Right. I'm not going to defend it because I see exactly where you guys are going. But Qui-Gon does say like everybody has them. Some just have more than others.
Sure, and like the Ahsoka series kind of takes it a step further with the idea that anybody who trained hard enough could potentially do it. But that's very much like retconning and backtracking and trying something new, which I actually appreciated. But
and I liked it too, the fact that they said that like there's rarely ever a Mandalorian one because they're so stubborn, so they're closed off from the Force.
Right. Yeah.
I don't really like it. I actually really like this point too right here. Dude, Episode 1.
But she would have
Qui-Gon?
exploded. She had the chip in her. Wouldn't she have exploded?
Qui-Gon could have taken, dude, they could have, of all
He
the
could have
stuff,
found
they
the chip.
passed lightsabers. They passed a
But they can
lightsaber
only use
through
the
the
Force
Force
when it's
once.
convenient for the
I hate it.
storyline.
I hate that, first of all. Second
hate
of all,
it.
but like Qui-Gon could have rescued Anakin's mom from slavery. I'm just saying, like, I agree.
But he needed
like,
to have Anakin not with his mom so he could
Brainwash
okay,
him.
but you could have
Force.
you didn't have to leave her in slavery, dude. Why don't you give her a good life on Naboo or some shit? That way
the
he's
thing
focused more on
is,
Jedi training.
George Lucas wrote himself into so many corners with the prequels. We should have never gotten Qui-Gon, as much as I love him and I love Liam Neeson's performance. It should have just been Obi-Wan and Anakin and their relationship.
They should have started right episode 1 right there.
Yeah, it should have been built up to where we see these guys as really close friends. We should have seen Anakin Skywalker be the best of a bunch of really cool motherfuckers who just went out and took care of business and helped people, instead of being this cloistered, like monastic religious
Are you an
society.
angel?
Yeah, God.
I do have an issue with that. Every time I rewatch episode 1, I'm like, I don't like this. I
It's
think
not
it's a
good.
little bit creepy.
It's
I
too much
fully agree
treading
with
water,
this.
and we never see enough of what we need to see. We never see Obi-Wan and Anakin be really close friends. We never see Anakin be the paragon of what the Jedi should be. We always just see him as like this attached, kind of spoiled, kind of annoying, kind of itchy, like just miserable kid who's being prodded by the people
Just
he's
needs
working
to
for.
Go to his
Yeah.
room.
Yeah, and like we never see Anakin be this cool guy who has this tragic downfall. We see straight from the beginning, the Jedi fucking hate him. They let him know at every turn. Obi-Wan's like kind of like an absentee father. Like he's not really there as much as he needs to be.
He's just the older
Nothing's really
brother.
great.
He's
So when
annoyed by
Anakin
him.
turns to the dark side, it's
I
like,
love you too.
yeah, that makes sense. Like this isn't sad or tragic. This is like this guy's an asshole. You made him an asshole, and surprise, he's a fucking asshole. Like it doesn't work.
It was
and that's it breaks Darth Vader, who is my favorite character and favorite villain of all time, Star Wars or otherwise, because we no longer see the same Darth Vader we saw when I saw the original trilogy growing up without the context of the prequels. Now Vader is just this whiny guy who just is pissed off about everything, hates everybody, misses his wife, was treated badly by his surrogate parents, and he chokes people not because he's just an angry motherfucker who wants results. He's just a spoiled brat now, and it sucks. It sucks.
I'll get to this question in a minute. Because I want to finish this thought. This is really good. I agree with you. Episode 1 should have been he's already in training. It is the two of them because it does. If you think about it, episode 1 does not connect with the rest of the prequels. It has nothing. Sure, you start the war with the Trade Federation. You didn't need that. You really did. Like, sure, I absolutely love Duel of the Fates. It's my favorite Star Wars song. Sure, the lightsaber battle is awesome, but really it doesn't give us anything other than a cool pod racing sequence, an epic lightsaber battle, introduces the characters, and that's it. Where you could have easily done that in episode 1. You could have started the Clone Wars in episode 1.
I think they just wanted you to have more empathy for Vader. So you see him as a little
kid.
But
you end up
see him taken from his mom. But I agree, but I think that was their goal.
Well, I agree.
And also, I think they were trying to get kids at that day and age to get into it because it was obviously episode 1 is very much so a kid movie. I think it's the most kid movie out of all of the movies.
Agreed.
And
dude,
I think
by the way, we had Pepsi cans with all the Star Wars characters on it. Like we were in the
I mean, we have that with Marvel right now.
I had them on my shelf for so long they actually eroded the aluminum and popped and like left stains on the carpet of my childhood bedroom.
Oh no!
Yeah.
It's not good.
That's terrible.
We all thought they were going to be worth something, and now none of that shit is worth anything.
I have a couple bottles with Coke, and I have the Jacksonville Jaguars inaugural year and Marlins inaugural year. But the Jacksonville Jaguars one, it's the one with the logo when they got like a cease and desist.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, if it's worth something, I should sell it because I really don't.
You just give it to me. It's okay. I'll see if it's worth something.
I'll bring it to you next week. My dad will be like, "You gave Matt what?"
No, man. It's just so wild that we could have, because they obviously had to go back and make the Clone Wars TV show, which did such a good service because then you see why Anakin is the way he is, but that should have been in the
we
movies.
Shouldn't have needed that. In the book Brotherhood, like you guys were talking about, like we wanted to see more of that relationship with Obi-Wan and Anakin, and like the book Brotherhood, if you read it, Matt was the one that told me to read it, and there really is no ending to the book because you know how it ends, but it just it strengthens their bond.
Well, that's what I say. You should have seen them going like these adventures they allude to in like episode 3. Like they allude to a past adventure We should have gotten to see that, you know.
So do you think they were rushed?
No,
The
I
movies?
just think
Not at all.
George Lucas would have fucked up the entire trilogy, and this is going to lead into the really good question by Jose. So George Lucas, he was saved by his then wife and her editing skills.
Yeah,
These
Marshall
only,
Lewis, or Lucas.
yeah, she was the only reason why these movies, like, she saved Star Wars.
Yeah,
because his editing was awful. You see what happens. George is left to his own vices. Like, he would not let any of the actors deviate from the script. So obviously you have Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman. They would try to do that, and he would stop and be like, "No, you need to read the script word for." And he was not a good script
It's like
writer.
she would have never fallen for Anakin.
No.
Like, and watching that, like, it made,
and it
no,
was
he's
such a weird
acting
turn out
like
of nowhere.
a
She's
child.
like thinking he's creepy, and then all of a sudden, she's like,
I love
"I
you.
want your babies, Anakin." It's like,
Truly, deeply. Like, no,
What?
come on.
Like,
Yeah.
come on,
You're about
really
to die,
that-
okay?
right. But I feel like
they get
after
out of
this-
that, and they're like, sorry, I was thinking I was gonna die. I just needed one last kiss. I don't know.
They're like
man."
a clip on like a TV show or a movie where they think the plane's going down. They're like, they say all these things, and then the plane studies are like, well, that's awkward.
It's like,
I feel
oh
like
shit.
that's
Yeah.
didn't really mean that. It was just in the moment.
Yeah. Well, Jose Lozano, what are you doing?
Prequel trilogy. Look, man. It's
No.
obvious. Okay, it's the original
Come
trilogy. Now I'm gonna
That's
go ahead
bait.
and say that
That's bait.
obviously it's the original. My favorite Star Wars.
Actually, I really like
of,
the sequel trilogy.
Well, guys,
My-
it's been fun. Thanks for having me on.
My favorite.
Good luck
we're
in all
just-
your life endeavors.
I'm kidding.
So, anyways,
Reboot her? I love it. Thank you.
anyways, the Star Wars Revenge of the Sith is my favorite, like, Star
I
Wars of the
was
trilogies, but it's
joking.
obviously the original trilogy, man. Like,
It's the OT,
it's the most
yeah.
coherent. Yeah, it's the most coherent because it has a
magical.
beginning, middle, and end. It is really magical. Obviously, like, I like the lightsaber battles, and I like the one thing. Look, I really like the way lightsabers sound. I have a lightsaber that without the wand. That's why I'm just waiting.
I
I have a
Disney-
dead one, right?
Dude, I gotta like play around with mine. The batteries are dead, but I gotta play with my lightsaber on camera. I'll save that. You know,
OnlyFans.
I'll say that for the after Patreon only show. Dude, I love the way lightsabers actually sound and the sequel
like how
trilogy.
they
They sound
spin.
heavy and they look
Yeah.
heavy because George Lucas meant for lightsaber battles to be more like heavy in samurai battles.
Yeah.
So that's one of the few things I like about the sequel trilogy, but we all kind of
Sequel?
agree it's
Oh,
the original
sequel.
trilogy.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, no, I'm talking about the sound of the
Yeah, yeah,
lightsabers,
sorry.
you know?
Yeah, when I
Sure.
was a kid, I always imagined lightsabers having so much energy coursing through them all the time that they would feel heavy, almost like holding like a fire hose.
I mean, this is heavy as shit.
So,
Imagine
yeah.
seeing this thing around, like,
But I
God
mean,
dang.
George instructed like David Prowse and Mark Hamill to act as if the lightsabers were heavy. They had weight to them.
Mhm.
And I get why
Yeah.
he changed that up with the prequels because these are peak Jedi and Sith who know what they're doing. Their telekinesis and their skills and their wherewithal of using a lightsaber is the highest it's ever been. This is like peak Jedi. So they're able to twirl them and do all kinds of wacky shit. But I love the idea that these are basically like big fucking like claymore laser swords that were as dangerous to just turn on and wield as they were to the person you were swinging them at. Like they were.
I mean,
Yeah.
if they were real, like, how many people would like shave skin off their ass every time they did the little whoop de
Exactly.
Oh, I would definitely like cut my arm off like first.
But
Yeah.
do you-
I'm gonna try this. Oh,
I mean, we
no.
saw the dark saber where it was, it's heavy because you're making it heavy kind of thing. Do you think
Yeah.
there's obviously that's distinct to the dark saber, but do you think there's any truth to that with the regular lightsabers? Like maybe like, you're saying like they're at the peak of their Jedi or Sith training. And so they're one with their
Well,
lightsaber.
lightsabers
make
are
it-
force sensitive in that like they're connected through the force. That's the whole like thought process with lightsabers.
Sure. I mean, we saw
That's-
Han Solo turn on Luke's saber in.
You can
in
turn it
Empire
on.
Strikes Back.
Yeah.
He turns it on. He doesn't like effortlessly turn it on. Like he's like, oh shit. Like there's a moment where he's like, whoa, okay. And then all he does is slice open a tauntaun, but there's effort there. You can tell. And I'm
Right.
sure he got the same direction that David Prowse and Mark Hamill did. Where like this thing's heavy and it's dangerous. So like turn it on and like be very, very careful with something that's incredibly dangerous to be wielding.
Right.
So yeah.
But
I will say my
yeah.
lightsaber water bottle, when I put water in it and clipped it on my thing, it was very heavy. I had to take it off. It was going to rip my jeans.
Oh shit.
All because you ripped your pants.
My shorts are really old. I probably should get new ones. I think the new ones will hold up.
So, talking Attack of the Clones real quick too, before we go into Revenge of the Sith, man, Attack of the Clones. Oh boy, what a movie! What a
Jango
movie.
Fett's your favorite character, right?
God, like
Now I'm scared I'm gonna get kicked off the show again.
Tamara Morrison is such a great actor and such a cool
is.
guy, and he's so game for everything.
We need Old Man Rex the show.
Yeah, but I mean, like his performance as Jango Fett in and of itself is cool. Like Tamara Morrison is just cool. And Jango desperately wants to be a cool character, but everything in Attack of the Clones is just so lame and so stilted. And like Ewan McGregor doing like an Obi-Wan detective story should be awesome on paper, and it's so stilted and goofy.
Sifo Dyas, and he's like, "What
was that? Oh my god, the Sifo Dyas
you didn't play it off at all.
Yeah.
I will say I would like the backstory of what happened between Jango and Cad Bane. I feel like that was such like a throwaway line, and I liked the Boba Fett show. I will say I did like it. I did not hate it. I was fine with it being the Mando Boba Fett show because I felt like it was all connected.
That show was so bad, but
it was awful.
But I got really excited when Cad Bane showed up, and then it was like that. It didn't make sense. He didn't get the ending that I felt like his character deserved.
Yeah.
So I would like to get backstory on that.
Dave Filoni's a great idea, man. He's just like George Lucas, where he's not great at.
He's like me, dude. I have so many ideas, but good God, if I could just follow through one of those ideas. Yeah. But like the whole Coliseum battle, right? Like you get this weird, like they're gonna be chased from these creatures. Like, okay, Ken agrees with you, Lauren. Both
Thank you, Ken.
But then, like, all the Jedi show up, and how easily do these Jedi get bested by a bunch of fucking droids? Like, you see Jedi dropping left and right by these droids, and it's like this badass scene. They're circled around. They're going to do boo, 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 and they're just, what are we doing, man?
Yeah.
I mean, it was better than the Order 66.
I loved that level on Star Wars Battlefront, though. That was an awesome level on Star Wars Battlefront. But as far as like the Jedi went down way too easy, in my opinion, I remember that bothering me for a long time.
The one Jedi with like the fin on his head that climbs up onto the balcony where
he gets shot right away by Jango Fett.
Jango's like, nope, and he just shoots him like 3 times point blank, and the Jedi's like, oh shit, doesn't even like do anything and just falls to his death. Like,
if you're not like a prominent Jedi, you die in like the worst imaginable way possible. It's like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
No,
it really does. And then
Star Wars is stupid, guys.
Yeah, when you really break it down, but
podcast over.
I liked the Yoda lightsaber battle, but again, like okay. Oh, my problem is Obi-Wan goes down like such a punk in all of his lightsaber battles, except for he starts off up here with the
Darth high ground.
Maul. And then you're going to tell me he gets punked by Dooku so easily twice and just, you're going to go to sleep now.
Maybe he only defeated Maul because he had hate going through him right then because Maul killed Qui-Gon. So maybe he tapped into the dark side and that's when he's the best.
Well, he should feel some of that hate because he looks like a real fool to Satine right now.
Yeah, he like barely survived his son too, though. Like Obi-Wan kind of gets punked throughout the prequels a lot.
Yeah. Obi-Wan's just like this cannon fodder. Shout out to Stacy. She's not in the chat, but I am going to drink.
Oh, I really like that
one more of these Imperial Stout Troopers. Really awesome beer. Obi-Wan really goes down.
Stouts that are in 12-ounce cans. We need that.
Agreed.
More.
Yeah. We need more of that. But the Jedi are so overrated in the way they fight. That's why, like, I both like and don't like Mace Windu because the vapid style of fighting that Mace uses kind of leans into the dark side a little bit, and that's why he's such an awesome fighter. That's why I hear it's dark.
But I mean, I love.
He leans into it a little bit.
He's a dick in the prequels.
It's take the seat, young Skywalker.
Like, right. He's like that like dad that's like about to take his belt off and like the young Jedi.
Dude,
like,
Mace
not fucking around.
If the Jedi Order, they got what they deserved, right? Like
which sucks because it shouldn't have ever been that way.
The Jedi Order.
They should never have been a bunch of assholes. The way I always envisioned the Jedi Order when I was growing up was very much what Obi-Wan was in the original trilogy. I always imagined them as being a bunch of like Ronin-esque samurai who were not necessarily vigilantes, but outside the political realm and were not on the payroll. They weren't space cops. Right. They were guardians that knew right from wrong and knew that they had a duty to keep the dark side at bay. And in order to do that and to keep people safe and just be general like servants of the people, they would travel the galaxy on their own dime and would just show up when things went bad and take care of things and help people and then move on. They weren't like living in a castle. They weren't on the payroll. They weren't at the behest of the senators, all that type of shit. They should have been what Obi-Wan was in the original trilogy, and they should have just been cool guys who just happened to study this. I don't want to even want to call it a religion. I hate the Force being a religion. Studying this set of moves
Yeah.
and these abilities that they happen to be naturally gifted in, not because of midichlorians, but just because they happen to be attuned with it the same way Luke was. And they should have just been these cool guys who just traveled the galaxy and just took care of business and just being like wandering like Ronin warriors who would just be there when you needed them and take off and disappear.
Or like
And
Wolverine going to Japan and studying the art of
sure,
like fighting kind of
yeah.
thing.
But having them be like space cops and monks and having them be heavily involved in politics and living in a castle that overlooks everybody beneath them, it was just,
We're so much better than you.
it's terrible. Yeah. Yeah. It was
And they had
awful.
endless amounts of money, I felt like.
Sure.
I mean, of course,
Yeah.
they're obviously like robbing the poor citizens of Coruscant.
Well, it's like Luke Skywalker's lightsaber in the original trilogy, the one he builds himself. It by the time he already builds it and he takes it over to Jabba's palace, it already looks used. Like he had to like cobble the parts together, right? And people like Mace Windu are building their lightsabers out of gold.
They
Like,
really, yeah.
come on, like you're not supposed to have attachments. You're not supposed to be like, worried
Right,
about
but you
like, your
can never
possessions
lose.
and
You
stuff.
can't have attachments, but
But-
never lose your
But
lightsaber.
you can build your prized weapon out of fucking gold and like parade it around. Like, look at me. Like, come on, no.
You're right. And well, again, like, get out of here, citizen. And just Mace Windu's I'm holier than thou. Like, even Yoda would always come across condescendingly.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, even Anakin in Attack of the Clones, when they go into the bar to find Sam Wessel, he's like, Jedi business, go back to your drinks. That's such like a Los Angeles cop thing to say, and I fucking hate it so much. It's like, don't worry, peasants. We're just here to murder somebody. Like, don't worry about it. Like,
the Jedi are Americans' government because they're subsidized, heavy, unlimited defense budget. Now it makes sense.
they are.
They're
And
the-
it's
it just
shitty.
makes sense.
But do you think any of that was intentional by George Lucas, having it represent our society and a reflection thereof?
I don't know, but I feel like what we needed at the time, what we need now
Ooh.
is the Jedi to not be that. So, like my heroes growing up, I have issues with Obi-Wan and Anakin because they're kind of assholes in the original trilogy when you really think about it. Like they brought up this kid and they secretly tried to get this kid to kill his father without even knowing. And when the kid finds out, they're like, "Oh well, oh shit, yeah, sorry, he's your dad." But you feel
Oh,
like
my
they're
bad
doing-
about all that.
you feel like they're doing that out of desperation because they know how bad things are going to get if Luke actually gets emotionally involved because he is the last young viable Jedi to take down Palpatine and save things. When you find out that the entire Jedi Order is a bunch of manipulative assholes like that, it's no longer like interesting or cool or
Yeah.
tragic. It's like, you fuck the Jedi. Fuck
But-
them. They're awful.
Did you not
I
learn
did
anything,
really
Yoda?
like in Obi-Wan Kenobi, I felt like they did fix a little bit of that. I mean, obviously Alec Guinness is a little like, a little too sure with himself.
Well,
a little
Alec
too
Guinness
frank,
also like hated
but-
Star Wars. He thought it was very goofy, but
Sure.
But I
'cause it
genuinely
is.
enjoyed
is,
when
yeah.
when Anakin let Obi-Wan off the hook and he's like, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did. And I felt like that was how Obi-Wan had to move on and became again a Jedi to help Luke become who Luke became, was seeing it as that is a different person. And that is like, I don't think that he was trying to manipulate him. I feel like he was dealing with his own trauma and his own guilt and how and what Anakin did and keeping these kids safe, keeping Luke and Leia safe. Like, I genuinely feel like his intentions were always good. Were they the best plans? No. But I do
Sure.
think that Obi-Wan always
fair.
had good intentions.
I agree there.
I
But
wouldn't disagree.
yeah, I mean, ultimately, when you're trying to rid the galaxy of a horrible space wizard dictator and
Space Wizard. It's my beer.
and his lapdog asshole, like sort of like executioner, that's good intentions. Of course it is.
which is what the road to hell is paved with.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
you and your mentor who's out in a swamp hanging out, like you're trying to trick this kid into killing his dad. That's messed up. But like I said, in the original trilogy, it comes from a different place than what we know of the Jedi in the prequels, where they've always been manipulative and always trying to pull the strings and do
Yeah.
what they want to do. And when it comes down to it, they're really not that much better than the Sith, who are just kind of quietly
It's a Sith
hanging
on
out,
it.
like and just kind of doing what they want to do. And
But
like,
like, what's up over there? Just hanging around.
yeah, like until Palpatine gets involved and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna use
Palpatine really wants some
economics and
greed,
politics
yeah.
to break
Right.
things. Like,
And I don't want to
Yeah.
defend bad behavior because I feel like 100% you need to be self-aware of stuff. But I also feel like the Jedi were always taught like very poetic things and like they were almost tricked into thinking things were good that weren't good. And it was
100%.
like,
Yeah.
this is the prophecy, and we have to do this, and we have to do that.
Well, that's
and
the problem
so,
with, like,
It's
religion
cultish. It's
too,
flowery
right?
and
Like,
fake and misleading,
yeah.
and it's the Jedi are very much presented like a cult in the prequels, and that ruins
they
everything,
are.
honestly.
But when I read, because like I've had like the prequels on like on the background the last week or so for this episode, and I'm like, Yoda is a dick. I think
Full on.
Yoda is a like
I still think
Obi-Wan. I don't. But I
Yoda could
do.
have beaten Palpatine. Mace Windu could have taken not 20 years to kill Palpatine before Anakin showed up.
I
This
mean, I
whole thing
always
would
thought
have
Windu was a dick, but Yoda is like he's not the best. And it's funny then when you watch the original one, like he is a goofy motherfucker in the original
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
That tonal shift doesn't make sense to me still to this day.
No,
Well, I mean, he's
I
been
love
on a
that.
planet by himself for a while.
Well, in
Okay,
Empire
that's
Strikes
fair.
Back, he's testing Luke. He's deliberately acting like an asshole
That's
to
fair.
test Luke's patience. And when Luke is like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Yoda's like, "This kid isn't patient enough for me to train him. Like,
Sorry,
this isn't
bro.
going to work." And then Obi-Wan's like, "Well, I was kind of an a petulant child too when you trained me." But then we find out fucking
Yeah.
Qui-Gon trained him anyway, so that whole thing goes out the goddamn window.
Yoda, you didn't even
but-
train me, bro.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's my other thing too, is like nobody felt Palpatine's darkness way sooner or anything like that. I also
Yes.
feel like in Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin shows up and he's like, dude, Palpatine's the Sith. He just told me. And Mace is like,
A
if
Sith
this
Lord?
is true, then you have gained my trust finally. You know what? You stay here. I'll go handle it. Like, why not bring Anakin to be like, hello? Like, hey, you know what? This is your big moment. This could be your like, hey, we got this son of a bitch. You know, your big, we got Osama bin Laden moment. If you're Obama or whatever, right? Like it could have been that.
There
but
was a moment at some point though where they did say real quick that the Jedi have clouded, or the Sith have clouded the Jedi, where the Sith were like actually making it
That's
so
true,
the Jedi
like-
couldn't sense it.
Yeah, they've gone back and retconned it in novels and stuff where like somebody like a Sith quietly manipulated the Jedi Order into building a temple on top of like a dark side site, which the Jedi in their
That's
hubris
just how you
thought
end
would
up
like
getting cursed.
yeah, the Jedi in their
Yeah.
hubris thought that their presence would overpower the dark side, but in turn the dark side actually clouded their judgment. There has been so much desperate retconning and rewriting and fan fiction to try and make these movies make sense, and it just doesn't
Make
work.
it make sense.
Well, yeah, like everyone's trying to like, and again, right?
This is
Revenge
why
is-
Thrawn should be a bigger character. He's very sensible.
that's
he's very
my- all right.
intelligent.
That's
He could fix it all.
That's
Yeah,
my
exactly.
problem with adding all these extra characters. Like, I love that we're adding Ahsoka. I love that we have Hera and Sabine and all of these other characters. However, unless you plan on redoing the original trilogy to kind of explain some
No,
of this,
you can't
it's
do
like,
that.
where are they in these big moments? If Hera Syndulla really started the rebellion, where is she at during the Battle of Endor, during the Battle of Yavin? You know, we have all these Jedi out hanging around. When they see shit popping off and like after the first destruction of the Death Star, why don't they all come out of the woodwork for the rebellion?
Yeah.
You need a
Um,
Star Wars 1.5, like how they did Lion King 1.5.
Honestly,
they
man, like
showed
what's-
That like Timon and Pumbaa, do you know why everybody bowed to Simba? That wasn't normal. It was because Pumbaa farted and all the animals
Oh
like
my
started to
God.
pass out and then everybody bowed. That's in like 1.5. So they explain what the other animals are doing.
look, man, I know this is a very controversial take that some things should never be touched, but I would be so open if they redid the original trilogy because there's so much.
They can't.
No,
That's the
redo
one
the
thing they can
prequel.
never redo.
Redo it up. Like, look, man, we
You
were
can
at a
never
point
do
where there was
perfect.
so much Star Wars lore out there and so many new
But it's
characters.
the one thing you can't change.
Sure, you can. You can change
Nope.
little minor things.
No.
The ending can still be the same.
Redo
I'm
the
just saying.
prequels.
You do that, and a meteor will hit our the size of bigger than Earth.
You know
will hit
what?
our
Then I don't have to
planet.
pay my mortgage anymore at 7.2%. All right. Fine by me. God damn it. Like, that's enough to.
7.2%.
You want to know why I'm going to go kill a bunch of younglings? Yeah. Talk to our government right there.
For legal
Um,
purposes, that's
It's a joke. Nobody's dying today. Nobody.
Matt, you just talked about redoing the original trilogy. I mean,
Look,
I feel
Might
like
as
one of the
well.
three of us in this podcast is about to go out.
oh,
I'm
It's
kidding.
not me.
I killed him with my mind powers. I used the
I'm sorry,
force.
just anybody who's watching, Matt's in charge
So,
of the
anyway,
stream. So
This show just got a whole lot better. How are you, Lauren? How are things?
Good, how
now
are you?
wait a
I'm
second.
good.
Oh
God
man, he's
damn
back
it.
already. It was
Somehow,
just getting
Matt
good.
Petit
Matt has
returned.
returned.
Somehow I've returned. Guess what? I'm back. I look. I mean, I don't know. That's why I have such a problem with the sequels. Like, I see so many people. I know this was originally supposed to be like a prequel trilogy chat, guys, and I've done like we've gotten off track. This is Cantina hour.
I keep trying to. I don't know why.
Cantina 2 hours now.
This
I can go into the full hour if you guys can. I'm down.
Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share all that in the meantime, because I could go on about Star Wars for days. My big thing, dude, with the sequels, like, I know again, everybody thinks The Last Jedi is perfect. I think that's just like you want to feel popular.
Who said The Last Jedi is perfect?
There's so many people out there that like The Last Jedi is actually
J.J.
perfect.
Abrams?
And X, Y, and Z. No, it is not perfect. My biggest thing is you have the whole entire, like, the first 6 movies are a Skywalker. That's the Skywalker.
It's not Con
story.
Air. It's not perfect.
That's true. Damn, Laura. Okay, Laura, I see you. When are we doing a Nicolas Cage night? That's what I need to know.
Right now.
Right the fuck now. I love Nicolas Cage. Face
off. Oh, I loved that movie.
Can I say one thing? Are we going to wrap up at the hour? If so, I want to say one thing.
No, we can go a little over.
Okay,
I got
cool.
a number to be. Like, there's no time limit on this thing. People are watching.
Let me just say it. I hate the prequels. I famously hate the prequels. And at the center of that is how badly Anakin Skywalker was treated. And I feel like Hayden Christensen was maligned for that portrayal by a lot of people. But after seeing what he was able to do in the Ahsoka series, with the different direction they took with the character of Anakin, where it wasn't Luke Skywalker's direction, it was Hayden Christensen being able to play the version of Anakin we saw in the Clone Wars series, which I loved.
Oh God, yeah.
That dude, I felt so vindicated for him to be able to finally play a cool,
That's what I'm saying. Give me a Vader TV
version
show
of
with
Anakin.
him.
And the fact that he got to, in just that one episode, portray a version of Anakin that was cool and calm and a paragon of what the Jedi should be, but also conflicted, and also those little shades of Anakin getting all fucked up mentally because he was raised during a war and was basically raised to be a warrior his entire life.
Ripped from his mother.
That alone was so much better than the entirety of his arc in the prequels and George Lucas's direction. So that guy showing back up and going to like the Star Wars like celebrations and showing up all sheepishly, not knowing how people are going to react to seeing him, and having this sort of
much undeserved hate.
Exactly.
It sucked.
But being able to do that and have people receive him and love him, and being able to go back and almost kind of do justice to the role of Anakin in that episode of Ahsoka. I don't love the Ahsoka series, but that episode was phenomenal. So cathartic for me who watched the prequels and hated them and felt so bad for Hayden Christensen taking this role of a lifetime, playing this character who turns into the greatest villain of all time, and finally being able to play a legitimately great version of Anakin was just wonderful. That was great.
That's exactly why I want to see like a limited series, maybe with him as Vader doing stuff, because I feel like he's back, he's invested, and the fans want it.
So no more Vader. I want to see more of Anakin in the Clone Wars with Ahsoka. More live action Clone Wars, because that's where Anakin actually became cool.
Well, Daphne King, or no, it's not Daphne King. I'm sorry. It's the girl who played in Barbie as young Ahsoka. I'm down with that. Why don't we do some of their adventures? She was great in the
That would be amazing. Oh my God, that would be so good.
She was awesome as young Gamora in Endgame too.
Yeah, she was Gamora. She was Ahsoka, young Ahsoka, and then she's in the Barbie. Dude, what a career she's
had. She had a great year, man.
Yeah, that whole year was stellar by her.
And I don't want to say I was disappointed by Ahsoka, but I just feel like I had such high expectations and it didn't meet them, other than that one specific episode. And like seeing Rex too, like it was literally the ripped from the cartoon, because obviously the cartoon is mimicking these characters, but it was like that episode was a collaboration of Clone Wars and the prequels, and it just made everything kind of make sense. And I think, yes, Young Adventures of Ahsoka with Anakin would be amazing.
Yeah.
I
couldn't agree more. And we need that for Jake Lloyd. Like Jar Jar Binks has gotten.
I don't think he'll ever come back though.
No, I think Jake Lloyd's done.
I do too, but
he's got a lot of things going on.
Story, like he just got out of rehab. Yeah. I heard.
Well, I mean, he has schizophrenia. Like the dude has some shit. So I think, you know what? Like, let's not. Even
I didn't know
him.
But just what happened to him is just as tragic as what happened to Hayden. Like, why would you? And I didn't think that he did a bad job playing this character. He did exactly what he was supposed to do, or what
he was.
My only issue was with all the yippies. I hated the yippies, but I got to assume that was in the script.
Yeah.
Like,
but I mean, he did a good job.
He did. Again, he's 9 years old. and it was 1999. Like, what
For
do
what
you
the
really
role was
expect?
and what the movie was, perfectly serviceable. Yeah.
I've had how many tonight? Like,
I've had one beer. Oh, I'm done for the night, guys.
no more pod racing for me tonight.
Yeah.
Pod
Or
racing
more
is
pod
I
racing,
agree.
frankly.
I have no problem. And even, I mean, we're seeing with Ahmed Best right now. He's kind of, people have come around back to him, and he's gotten to show up as a Jedi too. I wouldn't even mind maybe if we're gonna still play it, like, because I think a lot of people assumed we're done with the Clone Wars era after Bad Batch. That's not the case.
No.
Everybody acted like that. Like this was the end of the Clone Wars.
They never
era.
said that. Like, where are you getting this from?
I was confused at that as well.
There's so many Jedi out there. Like Ahmed Best played one. There's so many Jedi stories that you could tell throughout the Clone Wars in live action. And I know we're going to the.
Well, Kanan's son's got to be a Jedi, I would think.
Well, oh, dude, that's the other thing. Is like
unless
we've kind of left.
That.
Well, that's my other thing with like the sequel era now, right? Is we
God,
know what it has to lead to with the
Kylo.
Mandalorian. But we have Jason Syndulla out there. We still have Hera Syndulla out there. Like all of the Cameron Moynihan's character from the Jedi Survivor games is still.
When
out
I guess
there.
by the time Kylo killed all the kids, Jason should be gone.
So I also
fine.
have very much a less of a problem bringing all of these characters back in the next Star Wars sequel trilogy, because if you think about it, the sequel trilogy took place over 3 days, and it was a very bad car chase scene.
It took place over 3 days.
It was no. Well, think about it. Force Awakens.
The first two movies did.
There was a no. It was number 2 and 3 did. I thought the first one took place, and then like a year later, it was. So like the Force Awakens happens, and then time passes. I thought, right?
No, because the Last Jedi takes place immediately after the Force Awakens, because the First Order comes and bombs the planet they're on, and Finn wakes up from his coma. I feel like there's more of a gap of time between the Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker, because Rey's been training with Leia, and like
the Last Jedi takes place.
Finn has a different haircut.
The hair, man. That's how it's usually a telltale sign.
Yeah.
So, oops, that's not what I wanted. So it happens immediately after. You're right on that one. And how long between the Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker? It is. Oh, it doesn't really say how.
Let's say 6 months.
Set in 35 ABY. The Force Awakens is set in 34. Okay, so all this happens in a year, right?
Fair.
The First Order comes and they go.
So young, and he goes and does all this. He's a child.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, like, I don't have a problem if you bring all these characters into the next sequel trilogy, because the sequel trilogy really happens in like a year span. The whole Last Jedi is the Last Jedi takes place over like a very slow car chase scene.
Anakin was too young to train in the Jedi, but Rey can train in a year.
Well, Finn's also force sensitive now. They've confirmed, and she's going to be rebuilding the Jedi Temple. So why not get Ahsoka back involved? Why not get Cameron Moynihan's character, whose name escapes me because I'm terrible with names?
Cal Kestis.
I even know it.
Dude, like, what is wrong with me? I'm a Star Wars fan. Jesus,
you're drunk.
Not even like that's crazy.
How many beers did you drink in before we started this podcast?
That's the secret, right? A Jedi does not reveal his secrets.
Our secret is we're always drunk.
Patrick, this is not a hot take. We do not need to get away from the sky. Or we do. It's not a hot take. I'm agreeing.
I feel like everybody loves
Get away.
Andor, because it's not Skywalker Saga, and it's boots on the ground, because that was what's Andor. Really going on. Because somebody said something earlier, it was probably Ken, that like the Jedi and everything, it's like the Real Housewives or celebrity or a reality show.
Let me,
and so Andor is the non-reality version, is the actual like what's going on.
A pop group, lots of weird. He's right. I
feel like Rogue One feels like the assembling of a pop group.
Listen, if we're talking individual Star Wars movies, Rogue One is probably my favorite actual Star Wars movie.
The end of Rogue One makes episode 4 so much better.
It's Empire for me. Hands down. Empire is probably my favorite movie ever.
I mean, that's the popular answer.
Ever.
Like I said, my earliest childhood memories of watching anything on TV is Empire Strikes Back. Star Wars is the first thing my dad and I ever connected on. Like, it is really important to me. And that's why I'm so like
passionate. Yes.
Let's say passionate about the prequels and the sequels, because
there's so
much potential there that has just been wasted, and it's
well, that's my thing with Star Wars in general. There's so many stories, and that's why I'm glad with like the Acolyte we're diving into the High Republic era. Because I feel like with the Acolyte and going into the High Republic era, where we are getting away from Skywalker stories, and there's god dang, there is 5,000 years worth of Star Wars tales to tell that are so far removed. And it's honestly probably so much better than some whiny kid from Tatooine.
Are you talking about Anakin or Luke? Because they're both whiny kids from Tatooine.
Either or, take your pick. I think that's why I hope now maybe if we do cool off from the Clone Wars a bit, give me High Republic era, because that's going to kind of satisfy the masses, the people who love Star Wars, for the fact that there's so many lightsaber battles. And then you're going to get really get into the nitty gritty behind the Sith. You're going to learn a lot about the Sith. And yeah, like I'm with Patrick here. He says, give us Knights of the Old Republic or OG Sith stories. Like I want to know, like Darth Bane, like bring him to live action, because in Clone Wars, the TV show, they've already alluded and talked about him. So we know he's canon. We talked about Revan on our episode coming out on Monday. Lauren and I did all about the Sith.
We do talk about Darth Bane, which
there's
is
a lot. We talk about Darth. He started the rule of
tragic.
2. So like, why not dive into these characters that are legends that they haven't acknowledged quite yet? But dude, there's so much there that was just printing money right there. And I agree, man. Opening night of Star Wars movies.
I've never had that experience.
Dark Knight was my like favorite movie of all time. It was like the last great theater experience I had. But Star Wars, dude, like I talk about all the time. My experience is going to see The Force Awakens. That's why I like that movie so much. And then, of course, I've seen all the prequel movies opening night.
Well, I mean, I've seen almost every Marvel movie since the year 2000 at midnight, but I've only seen Solo.
But again, it's
That's
different.
the only Star Wars movie I've seen in theaters.
Really?
Yeah. Because I didn't get into it until later, so I didn't go.
Fair.
Well, they're supposedly starting to film. Isn't the next Star Wars movie supposed to come out next? Here's my other problem. Because how many Star Wars movies is Kathleen Kennedy going to announce and then get, like Rogue Squadron? Dude, if you did a Top Gun style Rogue Squadron movie, that's $1 billion right there.
Is that uncanceled? I think it's canceled and uncanceled.
They've done it like 3 times.
Like,
so if
they
anybody
stop
out there
announcing things before they're
that's my other problem.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I'm not just talking to Star Wars, Marvel and Star Wars.
Just film it,
dude,
produce it, drop a trailer, and that's when we know it's a thing. And then don't cancel it.
Star Wars, there's so many stories to tell on Star Wars that it's literally infinite. We could do a new Star Wars tale from any era every year until the end of the earth, because there's and I think that's why I like Star Wars as much as I do, and why it's my favorite franchise, is the amount of lore that goes into Star Wars.
Sure.
I'm still waiting for the Inhumans movie.
Oh my god. If we could remake the prequels or 1978 come on, it's the prequels. Remake the prequels.
Oh, you cannot touch the Star Wars
on.
holiday special.
The holiday special is sacred, okay? It is perfect.
I just decided right now that's my favorite Star Wars movie.
That's actually what we're all about to start watching right now. All right, sharing screen, and we're all going to YouTube the holiday special.
Oh, we should do a sauce one at Christmas time. Or no, maybe on Life Day. Do we do it on Life Day? Or
here's
do
the
we do it in
problem.
December?
So I am going to be in a dry country for 6 months from October to April.
So you would have to watch
very dry country.
Well, I'm allowed 3 beers every 18 hours. So I'm deploying. I will be gone to Tatooine for 6 months, equivalent. So the podcast is still going to go. Like the podcast is happening. We're going to bankroll episodes. I can still record episodes.
As many beers.
I just won't be drinking beers on episodes for 6 months, which sucks.
You're allowed 3 beers every 18 hours?
Dude, you have never seen military members get so involved in math until they're figuring out, if I get off at this time, then I can have this. And if I stop drinking at this time,
so
trust.
First of all, 3 beers every 18 hours is pretty great. But can you bank that and just go like 9 beers and like go try for a few days?
But what I could do, never mind, I can't say this on air.
Yes, you
Do
can.
they have non-alcoholic beers? We could do non-alcoholic.
Kick Lauren off real quick. Nobody else will know.
Here's my thing. So
we'll do coffee.
We could do a holiday special in July of sauced ones and save that for.
We will be
Life Day in July.
We have to bankroll some of these
on Christmas in July, watching Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay, I'm talking. Okay, fine. We'll record it sometime to save up. How about that? Dude, I feel like we have to now.
We're going to get Can I be on there with you?
You know what, DT? I honestly think that you should be in on this.
I've seen the holiday special multiple times.
So I think, it's
on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. So if anybody doesn't know what Sauced Ones is, we're kind of talking. It's our Patreon exclusive where
Monday's our first one.
This coming Memorial Day on Monday, we're gonna sit there. we're gonna play a drinking game to Madam Web.
Monday evening, which I agreed to before knowing that my niece's graduation was at 8:30 the next morning. So Patrick, who said like, "Oh, you don't have to get up early. I have to be."
Lauren, I drink electrolytes.
Oh, I'm going to be drinking a lot of electrolytes.
A lot of
Obviously,
electrolytes.
I'm very excited to see my niece graduate.
Dude, no. So it's basically, if you're a Patreon member, you can either hang out with us, or we're going to record us providing commentary and doing a drinking game to movies, and seeing at one point, do like rating them out of how many beers it takes for it to be enjoyable out of 10. 0 out of 10. So 0 beers means the movie was perfect, didn't need a single drink. I realize this sounds alcoholic. I promise you don't even need to drink. You could just come and have fun and shoot the shit and talk shit about the movies. Like the big thing on our podcast is you never feel the need to pressure to drink. Lauren and I just happen to be very big into the Lauren and I just happen to be in the craft beer scene. So to us, we enjoy it. But to join our podcast, to do any of this, you do not need to drink. Not like, I never want anybody to feel pressured. But yeah, so 10 beers is, dude, I had to get could not remember the next day or my life before this movie got. And so we're starting with Madam Web. So what I'm getting to in a long-winded roundabout,
so we can go high,
is, dude, we are gonna have DT on. Yeah, we're gonna have to do the Star Wars Christmas special. We're gonna be bankrolling some episodes there. That's a good one. The Star Wars Christmas special, easily 10 beers. But
Were you just typing like DT will be on the holiday special episode?
No, I was throwing the Patreon in the chat for YouTube.
I saw him do that, and I looked over to make sure he wasn't texting me.
I feel like Bruce Almighty,
Yeah, I like that.
That's exactly what it looked like.
That's what it felt
totally
like. So if you're at all interested in joining us for any of that, or you do want to support the show,
one long commercial.
Patreon.com/HotSpeak News. I know we always got to sell you something, right? It's America. Capitalism always rules at the end of the day.
Piece of our soul gone.
But no, I mean, yeah, dude, Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I love hanging out with DT. I love. It wasn't as bad because we got questions. The questions saved us from a really kind of off.
Saved our friendship is what happened.
Saved our friendship.
Did we get to all the questions? We didn't miss any.
We hit all the questions. As we begin to kind of wrap up, if anybody has final questions, now is your chance. I'm still waving my Savvy's lightsaber around. This is Power. Speaking of Sith, coming up on Monday, we are going to be dropping our episode all about the Sith lore. This is the Power Savvy's lightsaber. If you want to know more about kyber crystals, we just dropped an episode with Chandler from Crafted Cores. Craftedcores.com is where you can buy kyber crystals that are custom made to fit your Savvy's lightsaber. And dude, make sure, like, subscribe, share. Now, DT, as we do wrap up, man, I know everything's kind of on hiatus right now, but dude, you're such a great follow. You're such a great human being. Let people know where it is that they can find you at.
Yeah, hiatus is kind of unofficially done. I put out an episode since. I had a bunch of personal life stuff going on, and now I have more personal work stuff going on. The next episode is dropping Friday. But yeah, you can find me at youtube.com/@spacecastle-show, or you can find me at just spacecastle.net. Nice. And I'm on all the social medias too. So yeah, easy.
He is. Seriously though, like the best thing about this podcast, aside from, Lauren is coming to visit next week, and nice. We've become this friendship that's very much like Lauren is family, Josh's family, the kids are all family to me.
She's trying to get me to drink Corona.
I do, like, dude, Fast and Furious was on at the brewery I was at last week, and I was like, Carrie, I don't even care what you're saying to me right now. I'm watching Fast and Furious 1 where they're boosting DVDs, and I ain't never narc on nobody.
If you're not listening to your wife,
I didn't go back for the Buster.
The
Buster came back for me.
Nobody likes the tuna.
Okay,
here.
We are gonna start doing Fast and Furious on sauced ones because 0 out of 10 beers, but for Lauren.
Well, Fast and the Furious is like a villain origin story with my husband and I. I think I've told this story before.
I fucking love the Fast and Furious franchise.
I love Tokyo Drift. That's my favorite one.
Wow. All right, we're going to circle back to that because I've never heard.
Don't get me wrong. I love the first one. I love Too Fast, Too Furious because it's just stupid.
Ejectocito cuz.
Stupid. We hungry.
But, hey, you got food up in here?
I think Tokyo Drift is the pinnacle of the series, and I think 4 and 5 are okay, but it just goes awful from.
Yeah, that's why I like it. They get more and more ridiculous. Yeah. That's the best part.
Yeah.
That's the best part. Like, that's what makes Fast and Furious amazing.
You need to watch more Sharknadoes.
If you have a suggestion, actually, Dude, we've talked to Thunder 11 before. If you guys have a suggestion for any bad movies you want us to watch, drop them. hopsgeeknews@gmail.com. So it's just our name.
But
at
we're
Gmail.
not watching Blood and Honey ever.
I've watched it. Okay. I have watched
movie,
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
That's my line.
Legitimately, I love B-rated shit.
I love Winnie the Pooh.
The worst. Dude, it was absolutely the worst. Tom, my boy pop culture, the connoisseur, if you will. Snakes on a Plane?
Actually never seen Snakes on a Plane. Let's do it.
Tom has endorsed Snakes on a Plane.
Patrick,
I swear to God.
I'm all for it.
I swear to God.
Dude,
Patrick,
Midsommar is not a bad movie. It is a great
Midsommar
fucking
sucks.
It's
DT,
wonderful.
I wish you could have been around when my husband's like,
DT,
what
do you want to be like the third member of our podcast?
I've only watched that because of you.
Midsommar is goddamn. I love Ari Aster.
I do remember
love Midsommar.
But the part with the mountain or with the cliff, like I knew what was coming, and it was worse than I expected.
Exactly. It's just like Hereditary. Yeah. Outside of the girl getting her head knocked off by the light pole, Hereditary sucked.
No, it didn't. It was great.
Everybody's so in
I
love
won't
with
watch Hereditary because I've heard of the things it's been compared to.
Watch it. It's really good.
Compared to garbage on trash day, getting taken out.
Garbage day. Oh, Hereditary and Midsommar are both wonderful, and Matt just doesn't understand high cinema. That's all. That's why he likes the prequel so much.
I'm uncultured.
He never watched Sopranos.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Okay, but legitimately, Big Trouble in Little China is a good movie. Okay,
Big Trouble in Little China is wonderful. It
is great. Evolver, haven't watched that one.
I haven't seen Evolver.
Have you ever seen Johnny Dangerous?
Dude, what is that movie? Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I knew you would have. DT.
Yeah,
dude, amazing. We gotta watch.
Matt
Commando.
Probably doesn't even know what it is.
Commando
is it?
Johnny Dangerously.
No,
Google it.
I was thinking Johnny Tsunami.
You were thinking Johnny Mnemonic.
We need to watch Johnny Dangerously.
The possibilities are.
I don't know if Ken's still listening, but Tom's on there. When we were reviewing that Superman comic the other day, the one guy at the end who I didn't know what it was, he says like bastages. Because they were trying to say bitches without saying bitches. And in that comic, they say like they basically say bastages, and it made me think of Johnny Dangerously.
Yeah. I feel like at this point, we should honestly like commission movies. Like $1 movie. I don't know, man. Like at this point. Seriously though, man. DT, brother. It's his pleasure. It's always a pleasure. It looks like we got a lot of movies in the pipe, and I think maybe DT might be our unofficial Sauce Ones third one.
Sure.
Hands down, regardless, he's our third host for Sauce Ones. When we can make it work.
Third wheel adds more stability.
That's true.
What's gonna happen is like you guys are gonna pick these movies, and Matt's gonna be like, "This is a terrible movie. I'm gonna drink 10 beers." So I'm gonna be like, "Actually, this is a good movie, Matt."
Snatch is a good movie,
and here's why: Snatch is great.
Snatch is great. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Snatch,
dude. That's Jason Statham's like introduction.
He's like, "You have to watch this movie."
That was my personality. Every dude.
I don't think I've ever actually fully watched it, even though I've been married to him
Vinnie
for 13
Jones.
years.
I desperately miss Guy Ritchie so much.
I think he tried to push me too hard to watch the movie. I could never watch the movie. Like I was 17 and he's like, "You have to watch this movie."
Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, very, very good. Very, very good. And then what's that one with Ryan Reynolds? It's
Deadpool.
No, dude. Where he's the cop and they're in the hotel and Jeremy Piven everyone's going out. It's Lucky 7 or something like Lucky Number 7 or they're in the hotel in Vegas. It's got a lot of big name actors. Ryan Reynolds is a cop. They're holed up going after Jeremy Piven, who is the magician.
What about the movie Clifford? Have you ever seen Clifford where Martin Short is Clifford?
All right. Wait, I think I have.
Okay.
Oh, is it Magnificent Seven? Is that one? Is that
no?
No, Magnificent Seven. Isn't that's the
Seven Psychopaths?
No, it's not Seven Psycho. Anyways, I'll figure it out. What did we fuck up on? I'll fix that, I guess. I'll post it out there.
7 nights and 6 days. 6 days and 7 nights.
It's gonna bother me. It's gonna bother me. God damn it! Now I gotta go to IMDb.
Do it right now. We'll wait.
I'm doing it right now. What is the movie? I'm gonna search Ryan Reynolds, and he's gonna have every film under the sun.
Micah said Waiting. That's the one Chuck is in Waiting.
That's the one where that's with Andy Milonakis and they spit and Justin Long and all them.
Yeah, and
Louis Chuck Guzman is in that.
Yeah,
God from Supernatural.
Waiting was okay.
Waiting wasn't bad. It was a mid 2000s comedy.
I was whelmed. It was fine.
I don't think I've seen it since then. The one movie that traumatized me was the one where Justin Long became a walrus.
Tusk.
Oh, Tusk. Yeah, Kevin Smith.
I like Tusk, man. Say what you will. Where is the movie?
I didn't-
Smoking
I don't-
Aces. It's
Smoking
Smoking
Aces.
Aces.
Oh, that was good.
I always
Oh,
get that
see,
in
dude,
7
no,
seconds.
They made
fast.
two of them,
I
right?
wasn't looking up, but our
Smoking
boy
Aces.
got it right.
Oh,
Smoking
yeah.
Aces.
Too late, Maynard.
No,
Weren't there two
I'm
of
giving
them?
him credit. There was.
I think
We
I
don't-
only saw the first one.
We don't acknowledge the second one, but the first one was dope as fuck. Like it
Yeah.
is so good. The guy who's very big right now, he plays Proximus Caesar in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. He was in the movie. Yeah, dude, great.
Elon
movie.
Musk.
No.
That poor guy. He said in interviews he gets confused with Elon Musk all the time. It's
They don't even look alike.
I know.
Ah, that's tough. I don't
Yeah.
know. Anyways,
At least it's not.
I've wrapped this up 17 times now. Thank you guys for hanging out. We've just kind of devolved into whatever. That's Cantina Hour, baby. That's Cantina Hour. We might be back next week. I don't know. Lauren leaves Wednesday night. She's going to drive all night. Josh is going to drive all night. And she's going to be at my house starting Thursday. Maybe we just drink some beers that Thursday night. We throw on the thing, and here we are. Who knows? We always say that, but it never
We
happens.
do, yeah.
Who knows? Tuesday, I think we're recording.
Maybe we get Josh and Carrie on their first ever podcast.
We should. We should. The classic Midwest goodbye. Yeah, Patrick. Well, got to be going. And you say 17 goodbyes. This is my goodbye. Like,
I almost
subscribe,
got an
share.
Irish goodbye earlier.
Lauren is going
Unintentionally.
to subscribe to Space Castle podcast. Like, dude, go to YouTube. Check, dude. DT puts in so much fine work into his YouTube channel. Please do that. Support the show. Hopskeep News.
Haha, it's all AI. I'm just kidding. It's
And then
not.
of course, man, weekly.
Well, we've
comic
never met
book
you in
reviews.
person. You could be AI. We don't
It's
know.
true. Is Scarlett Johansson going to sue you next?
Do I get to meet her in person if she does?
I would hope so.
Okay, I'm down. Sure.
Weekly comic book reviews
I'm
every Tuesday
AI
and
too.
Wednesday. I want to be AI. Oh, look at that. We're all AI. This is an AI podcast. Scarlett, you coming by? Yeah, dude. We'll see you guys next week. And bye.